I believe that most of us carry around some level of brokenness, right? Wounds that we've been carrying for decades that are just not healing. And you find yourself in a space where every year you are going through the same emotions, right? You're reliving a certain period in your life and you just don't know how to let go, right? So today I want to talk to you about 3 things that you can do in order to start your healing process. For peace sake, I am Pulaa Montz, your inner voice magnified. Yesterday I spoke about how we can start healing ourselves, right? That the first thing in order to have peace really is to acknowledge your emotions. So once you've acknowledged your emotions, in order now to start the healing process, I believe, you need to let go of all bitterness and anger. When we carry bitterness and anger, we are still reliving the moment of pain, right? That season in our lives when somebody caused us pain, and we are not allowing ourselves to deal with everything that we need to deal with that situation that happened that caused us this wound that we are carrying around. So it is important for your own sake to let go of bitterness, to let go of anger, because those two emotions make you relive a certain moment, a certain season of your life over and over again. And the more you relive something, the more the wound gets opened on a daily basis, right? It seems like you're really rubbing salt on that wound every time you relive the moment that you were hurt. So it is essential for your own sake to let go of anger and bitterness. And that does not mean that whatever was done to you was right, but it means because it wasn't right, because you didn't deserve to be treated as they treated you, because you didn't deserve and you still don't deserve that pain, you owe it to yourself not to relive that moment. I mean, somebody hurt you 5 years ago, right? They hurt you when you were still younger. That time you didn't have maybe an option or a way out. But what has been happening over the years is that you took on the abuser, you took on the position of that person who hurt you, and you've been hurting yourself over and over again, putting yourself through that same pain that somebody put you through years ago, right? So let go of bitterness and anger. How you let go of it, you tell yourself every morning, today I choose happiness, I choose joy. I am tired of being angry all the time. I'm tired of being sad all the time. So today I'm choosing joy. Today I'm choosing peace. Even when you don't believe it yourself, you don't have to believe what you're saying. Just say it out loud every morning. I choose joy. I choose happiness. I choose peace for my life, right? The more you speak about the things that you want to see, the more you'll start believing it. Yes, at first you'll feel ridiculous because you don't see any joy nearby, right? You can't even think of your life being peaceful, right? It won't make sense when you start saying it because the wound is just too much. The pain is unbearable. But the more you say it to yourself when you wake up, and the more you remind yourself throughout the day not to relive that moment, the more you remind yourself of the things that you want, joy, happiness, and peace. I tell you, after a month, soon enough you'll start believing what you're saying, right? The next thing you know, you will stop speaking about this thing. That means when you stop speaking about it, then you stop reliving it. So every single day is a choice. And just because 3 months up from now, then you will relapse, that doesn't mean you haven't made progress. The fact that you remember to bring yourself back to this moment where you're saying, I am choosing today to have peace, then it means you're making progress, changing or moving away from bitterness and anger. That is a process and a half. That's not something that can happen in a day or in a month or even 3 months or even a year, right? Depending on the kind of hurt or the wound that you have. But every single day you make that choice, you make the decision. Never get tired of trying to heal yourself, right? So those are the choices that we all have to make on a daily basis in order to make sure that we have a peaceful life. The second thing that you should let go of is pride. So many times we find ourselves in quarrels and battles that hurt us, but we get into these situations because nobody wants to be humble in that situation. You'll find you're fighting with your partner and you're not really fighting, but or the reason why you're fighting is because none of you will humble themselves to make sure that you find a common ground. So humility is everything. Asking for forgiveness, sometimes even when you're not wrong, right? But for the sake of peace, for your sake, you ask for forgiveness, right? I know sometimes it can be hard, but those things that are hard, you must recognize that the devil is in it as well. The reason why it is so painful to the flesh is because the devil wants to keep that unstable environment in your home. But in order to have a peaceful home, at some point you need to apologize. In order to have stable relationships, at some point you need to humble yourself and be the bigger person in the picture. It doesn't matter how many times you have to be a bigger person. It is okay, because you know what, the more you do it, the more you ask for forgiveness first, the more you become the bigger person and humble yourself first, the easier it gets. I tell you, when the devil realizes that, you don't listen to your emotions anymore, he moves away to something else. He finds something that he can hold you down by. But I tell you, when you first ask for forgiveness and you're not at fault, you don't believe you're at fault, it is hard. It is difficult because you are thinking, nobody talks to me like that, and I'm just gonna go there and apologize, or they will take advantage of me. They'll think I'm stupid if I start apologizing. That is pride. And when we let go of pride, it is difficult. But the more you practice it, the more you do it, the more you choose your own joy over bitterness, over pride, over anger, the more you realize letting go of these things become easier, right? And once you've let go of pride, anger, and bitterness, then number 3, you are left with ample time and space in your soul to focus on yourself. Because once you let go of that, then you'll have your mind back, you'll have your spirit back. You will see that there are things that you should be working on in order for you to change your environment, right? Once you start working on yourself, these people that you have been trying to change all along, you have been telling people they are hurting you, they've left wounds, but they won't budge. Sometimes they just don't want to meet you halfway to even accept that they've done you wrong. But the more you work on yourself, the more you focus on trying to change you and operate from the space of love and Teach people, show them how to love you by loving yourself enough to make sure that you don't hold on to grudges, you don't hold on to bitterness. I promise you, everything that you've been trying to change in your environment will soon enough change, because after all, nothing can beat love. When you constantly show people love, even when they are not deserving of your love, then ultimately they start asking themselves questions like, what's wrong with you? Why can you not get ahead? I mean, we've been trying all sorts of things, but nothing can break you, right? Because you constantly show them love, even when they don't deserve them. I mean, the one thing that Christ left us as Christians is his love. He said we must love our neighbors as we love ourselves, and we must love the Lord our God with all our hearts, mind, strength, and everything, right? So love is the most important thing. When we operate from the space of love, pride falls away, bitterness and anger falls away, and we start teaching people how to treat other people, right? You start teaching the perpetrators of your pain what love is, because the Bible says, what is the point of you being a Christian loving only people who love you? Because even the Antichrist love only the people who love them, right? And they hate people who hate them. But as Christians, we've got that responsibility to teach people love, right? Sometimes people hate you because they don't know how to love. They have been hurt themselves. But once you know the love of Christ, then you can share it even with the people who have hurt you, in order for you to teach them what love is, right? So let go of bitterness and anger. Drop the pride and focus on changing yourself so that your environment can change. And I tell you, that would be the first stages of healing those deep rooted wounds that you've been carrying around for decades. I am Pulaa Montz, your inner peace and purpose coach.